We have been taught a very comforting lie about human history. We're told that progress is a perfectly straight upward line. We started in caves with wooden clubs, eventually figured out bronze, stumbled our way through the Dark Ages, and finally arrived at the glorious pinnacle of modern technology. It sounds great, but it is completely wrong. Scattered across the globe, buried under desert sands and sunken at the bottom of the ocean, are physical objects that simply should not exist. These aren't myths, these are tangible items sitting behind glass in museums right now. Items that possess a level of engineering, chemistry, and astronomical precision that defies everything we thought we knew about our ancestors. Today, we are going to examine 6 distinct artifacts that prove ancient humanity was playing with advanced technology thousands of years before the Industrial Revolution. Let's dive in. Our first stop takes us deep beneath the blistering heat of Egypt. The year is 1850. A French archaeologist named Auguste Mariette is exploring the sands near the step pyramid of Djoser in Saqqara. He notices the head of a sphinx poking out of the dunes. This discovery eventually leads his team to a sealed underground entrance. The stone barricades are so incredibly thick that Mariette actually has to use dynamite to blast his way inside. When the smoke clears, he steps into a sprawling, pitch-black labyrinth carved directly into the limestone bedrock. This is the Serapeum of Saqqara, and what is hiding inside these dark, claustrophobic tunnels is an engineering nightmare for modern historians. Sitting in recessed alcoves along the corridors are 25 gargantuan boxes made of solid black and pink granite. When I say massive, I mean it. Each box is about 13 feet long, 8 feet wide, and 11 feet tall. The lid alone weighs 30 tons. The entire container weighs close to 100 tons. To put that into perspective, that is the weight of a fully loaded modern freight train car. Mainstream archaeology claims these were simply tombs for the sacred Apis bulls, but there is a massive problem with that theory. When Mariette blew the lid off one of these boxes, he found absolutely nothing inside. No bones, no mummies, no artifacts, just empty space. But what researchers did find later was far more shocking than a mummy. Christopher Dunn, an aerospace engineer with nearly 50 years in high-tech manufacturing, decided to measure the inside of these boxes. He didn't just look at them, he brought precision industrial gauges. What he found was mind-bending. The interior walls of these granite boxes are perfectly flat. The corners meet at exact 90-degree angles. The precision is so flawless that it matches the tolerances we achieve today using computer-controlled CNC machines. Granite is incredibly hard. It ranks a 6.5 on the Mohs hardness scale. Some of these boxes are even made of diorite, which is harder than iron. If you asked a modern American manufacturing firm to carve a 100-ton hollow box out of a single piece of Aswan granite today, they would tell you it is nearly impossible. They would have to cut 6 separate slabs and bolt them together. Yet the ancient Egyptians carved these out of a single solid block. And here's the real kicker. The tunnels they're housed in are incredibly narrow. There is barely enough room for 2 men to walk side by side. How did an ancient workforce maneuver a 100-ton block of granite around 90-degree corners in the pitch black and drop it into an alcove with only 15 inches of clearance? They didn't have hydraulic lifts, they didn't have steel cranes. The sheer logistics of this operation suggest a level of ancient technology that has been completely erased from history. But the Egyptians weren't the only ones doing the impossible. Let's travel from the dark tunnels of Egypt to the sunlit waters of the Mediterranean Sea. In 1901, a crew of Greek sponge divers got caught in a violent storm near the island of Antikythera. To wait out the weather, they anchored and sent a diver down. He came back up screaming in terror, claiming he saw a graveyard of dead bodies on the ocean floor. The captain dove down to check and realized those weren't bodies, they were marble statues. They had stumbled upon a Roman shipwreck from the year 50 BC. Among the beautiful statues and gold coins, the divers brought up a crusty green lump of bronze. For 2 years, it sat ignored in a museum drawer in Athens. Then, a museum official noticed something strange. The bronze lump had split open, and inside was a perfectly cut gear. A gear? In an artifact from the time of Julius Caesar? Skeptics immediately cried fake. They said a modern clock must have fallen off a passing ship and fused with the ancient bronze. But in the early 2000s, scientists put the artifact inside a powerful X-ray CT scanner. The truth finally came out. Hidden inside this ancient device were 37 interlocking bronze gears. This wasn't a clock, it was the Antikythera mechanism, the world's first known analog computer, and it was the size of a modern laptop. By turning a hand crank, the user could calculate the exact positions of the sun, the moon, and 5 planets. It predicted solar and lunar eclipses down to the hour. It even tracked the 4-year cycle of the ancient Olympic Games. But the most staggering part of this machine is a tiny, ingenious piece of engineering hidden in the back. The ancient Greeks knew that the moon's orbit around the Earth isn't a perfect circle, it's an ellipse. This means the moon appears to speed up and slow down in the sky. To account for this, the inventor created a differential gear. It's a mechanism that allows 2 shafts to rotate at different speeds. It's the exact same mechanical principle used in the axle of your car today. European science wouldn't reinvent the differential gear or clockwork of this complexity for another 1,500 years. The Greeks had literally packed the cosmos into a bronze box. While the Greeks were mastering bronze and mechanics, ancient metallurgists in India were taming iron. If you visit the Qutb complex in Delhi today, you'll see a massive iron pillar standing in the courtyard. It's 23 feet tall and weighs over 6 tons. According to the Sanskrit inscriptions on its surface, it was forged in the 4th century AD. That makes it over 1,600 years old. Now, if you know anything about iron, you know its greatest enemy is moisture. The climate in Delhi is brutal. Blistering heat is followed by torrential monsoon rains. A normal piece of iron left outside in Delhi would turn into a pile of rust in a matter of decades. For context, the Eiffel Tower in Paris has to be completely repainted every 7 years just to stop it from corroding away. But the iron pillar of Delhi, it stands completely naked to the elements. No paint, no modern chemical coatings, and it has almost zero rust. For over a century, British and Indian chemists were baffled. The mystery was finally solved in 2003 by a professor from the Indian Institute of Technology. Using advanced microscopy, his team discovered the ancient blacksmith's secret. The iron contains an unusually high amount of phosphorus and almost no sulfur. When this specific mixture is exposed to the Indian climate, it creates a microscopic layer of crystalline iron hydrogen phosphate. This layer is only 1/20th of a millimeter thick, but it acts as an impenetrable shield. Even crazier, as the pillar gets wet and dries out over the centuries, the shield actually thickens and heals itself. Ancient Indian craftsmen essentially invented a natural form of stainless steel, a millennia and a half before modern industry figured it out. If self-healing iron isn't impressive enough, how about ancient Roman nanotechnology? Inside the British Museum sits the Lycurgus cup. It's a beautiful glass gobel depicting the myth of King Lycurgus. If you look at the cup under normal lighting, the glass is a milky jade green. But if you place a light source inside the cup so it shines outward, the glass instantly transforms into a brilliant, glowing ruby red. For decades, art historians thought it was just a clever trick of the glassmaker's die, but in the 1990s, scientists analyzed broken fragments of similar Roman glass under an electron microscope. They were stunned. The glass was infused with tiny particles of gold and silver, but these weren't just flakes of metal. The Romans had ground the gold and silver down to exactly 50 nanometers in size. To comprehend how small that is, a single grain of table salt is about 1,000 times larger than one of these particles. When light hits these microscopic metal particles, the electrons vibrate, changing the color of the light that passes through. This effect is called plasmonic resonance. It's a highly advanced field of modern physics. Today, scientists are using this exact same nanotech principle to create ultra-sensitive sensors that can detect diseases in human saliva or locate impurities in drinking water. The Romans discovered and applied nanotechnology 1,600 years ago without microscopes, without lasers, and without textbooks. These artifacts force us to ask a very uncomfortable question. If ancient humans were capable of nanotechnology, analog computing, and machining 100-ton granite blocks, what else did they know? What else has been lost to the relentless